Let's start with a disturbing truth most men aren't ready to hear. The more you chase her, the more she runs. The more you show her your heart, the faster she loses interest. And the moment you start treating her like a queen, she starts looking for another kingdom. If you're a man who's tried to be good, respectful, loyal, and emotionally available only to be ghosted, ignored, or placed in the friend zone, then this video is going to rattle your beliefs. Because whether you're ready to accept it or not, modern dating doesn't reward men who are kind. It rewards men who are cold, distant, and hard to control. Now, let me be clear. This video is not an attack on women. This is not about blaming women for their preferences. It's about understanding what really drives female attraction. So you, as a man, can stop feeling confused, broken, or bitter about why things never seem to work out when you're at your most vulnerable. Because here's the truth no one told you. Women don't want to be treated badly, but they're attracted to men who don't make them the center of their world. They say they want respect and kindness, and most do. But when you give it too easily, without boundaries, without purpose, without self-respect, it doesn't register as value. It registers as weakness. Let's go deeper. We live in an age where men are constantly told to open up, be more emotional, treat her like a princess, make her your priority. But when you follow that script, what usually happens? She gets bored. She disappears. She tells you, you're too nice. You're like a brother. You're always there. Let me ask you something. Why do so many women chase the man who barely calls them, ignores their texts, and seems to care more about his own goals than her attention? Is it just bad luck? Are all women broken? Or is there something deeper going on here? Something buried in psychology, in instinct, in attraction itself? Here's the uncomfortable answer. A man who doesn't need her attention becomes the most valuable man in the room. Now, don't get it twisted. This isn't about being toxic, manipulative, or emotionally unavailable. This isn't about becoming a jerk. It's about one thing: value perception. Women are biologically wired to be drawn to strength, mystery, and self-sufficiency, not emotional neediness, not over-explaining, not insecurity disguised as love. When you treat her like you've already won her over before she's earned your attention, she doesn't feel excited. She feels in control. And attraction dies when certainty becomes too predictable. You see, most men today are taught to please, but women are attracted to men they have to earn. She doesn't want to be your therapist. She wants to feel something when she's around you. She wants unpredictability, challenge, growth, not comfort, routines, and passive admiration. In fact, here's a brutal psychological insight. The moment a woman knows she completely owns your mind, she starts losing respect for you, even if she loves the attention. And yes, that sounds unfair. But attraction was never designed to be fair. It's primal, it's emotional, and it doesn't follow your logic. That's why the man who treats her like an option often becomes her obsession, while the man who treats her like a priority often becomes invisible. Again, this isn't about playing games, it's about understanding polarity. The masculine attracts the feminine not by seeking validation, but by standing rooted in purpose. And when a man gives himself away too easily, emotionally, sexually, mentally, before he's even decided if she's worth it, he flips that polarity. He becomes the chaser. And women don't chase men who chase them. What makes this even more controversial is that many women don't realize this themselves. They'll say they want a kind, loyal man, and many truly believe it. But their actions often show something different. They respond to tension. They respond to status. They respond to mystery. They respond to men who make them feel unsure, not insecure but challenged. If that hurts to hear, good. It means you're finally waking up. So, what's the solution? Should you become cold, distant, and manipulative? Absolutely not. But you must become a man who values himself first so deeply that no woman, no matter how beautiful or charming, can distract you from your purpose. And when you do that, something shifts. She'll feel it, she'll respect it, and yes, she'll want to be around it. Because women don't want men who don't value them. They're attracted to men who don't overvalue them before it's earned. It's time to stop being the man who gives away everything, hoping for love in return, and become the man who gives nothing away until he knows exactly who she is, and if she's even worthy of his time. Let's get into why this happens and how to shift your mindset, energy, and presence to become the kind of man women don't just want, they respect. Nice guys finish. Nice guys. Finish invisible, invisible. Let's get one thing straight. Being a nice guy doesn't make you attractive. It makes you invisible. This idea might make you uncomfortable, especially if you've been taught your whole life that kindness, politeness, and constant availability are the golden keys to a woman's heart. But here's the truth that no one had the guts to tell you. Just being nice is not enough. In fact, it's often the reason why you get overlooked, ignored, or replaced. Now, understand this. Being a good man is not the problem. Respect, loyalty, empathy, these are traits of high V value you men. But when you become a nice guy, the type who's constantly trying to please, never disagrees, and bends over backwards for women he barely knows, you don't look strong. You look desperate. Desperation is repelling. Certainty is attractive. Think about it. The guy who texts her good morning every single day while she barely replies. The guy who buys her you're not being nice gifts even though they're not even dating. The guy who says yes to every favour, always ready to drive across town at 11 p.m. just because she asked. She might say thank you. She might say you're sweet. But inside, she's losing interest with every act of blind devotion because you're not being nice. You're being needy. And in her mind, if you're doing all this for her without her having to earn it, what does that say about your standards? What does that say about your value? It says you're trying to buy her affection. It says you don't have options. It says you'll settle for anyone who gives you attention. That's not attraction. That's pity. Now, let's take it to the real world. There's a guy, let's call him David. Him. David was the perfect gentleman, always held the door open, complimented her constantly, told her she was beautiful every chance he got. He'd cancel plans with his friends just to hang out with her. He'd send long paragraphs telling her how special she was, even though they weren't even in a relationship yet. At first, she smiled. She said he was so different from other guys, but 2 weeks later, she stopped replying. When he asked what happened, she said, "You're just too nice. I need space." He was shocked, hurt, confused. How could being good push someone away? Here's the truth he didn't realize. He gave her everything before she even knew if she wanted it. There was no mystery, no challenge, no polarity. She didn't feel like she had to earn his affection. And what comes too easily often goes unnoticed. You see, women don't want men who hand over their heart on a silver platter to strangers. They want a man whose attention means something. A man who knows his worth. A man who gives not out of fear of losing her, but from a place of strength, knowing he doesn't need her to feel complete. The nice guy operates out of fear. He's afraid of rocking the boat, afraid of being rejected, afraid of being seen as anything but sweet. So he hides his real opinions. He avoids confrontation. He becomes agreeable to a fault. But here's the twist. The more he tries to avoid rejection, the faster it comes, because women aren't looking for emotional doormats. They want to feel something, a spark, a presence, a man who can say no and mean it. When you're too agreeable, you kill the tension. When you're too available, you remove the chase. When you give too much too soon, she doesn't see generosity. She sees insecurity. So, what should you do instead? Set boundaries. Hold your frame. Speak your truth. Being kind doesn't mean being spineless. Respect her, but don't worship her. Support her, but don't abandon your own priorities to do it. Appreciate her, but never pedestal her. When she sees that you have standards, she starts asking herself, why is this guy not chasing me like the others? Why do I feel the need to prove myself to him? That's when attraction begins. Not when you try to win her, but when you make her wonder if she's even won you. Here's the irony. Women respect the men who respect themselves first, not the ones who hand over power in hopes of being chosen. Being a nice guy might get you compliments. It might get you a few polite smiles, but it won't get you desire. Because women don't chase men who are already emotionally available before they've done anything to deserve it. They chase men who know their value and make her rise to meet it. So stop being nice just to be liked. Be real, be grounded, be bold. And when you do that, she'll start seeing you not as the invisible nice guy, but as the man she never saw coming. She wants to feel uncertainty, uncertain. Here's something most men don't understand about attraction. Certainty kills excitement. You think that by constantly reminding her how much you care, how much you want her, how much you're there for her, you're building trust, but often you're actually draining the one thing that keeps her emotionally invested. Uncertainty. Now, hold on. I'm not saying you should play games or lie. This isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding one of the core drivers of emotional attraction, the thrill of not knowing. When a woman is unsure of how you feel, not in a toxic mind game kind of way, but in a grounded, masculine, emotionally balanced way, her mind stays focused on you. She's thinking, questioning, wondering, replaying moments in her head. She's engaged. But the moment she knows exactly what you'll say, exactly how you'll react, and exactly where she stands, she mentally checks out. Let's break this down simply. Men crave stability. Women crave stimulation. For most men, certainty feels like control. But for many women, certainty can feel like boredom. She doesn't want a man who makes her feel anxious or unsafe. Number. But she also doesn't want a man who's too easy to figure out. You see, attraction lives in the unknown. When she feels a little uncertain, her emotions get activated. She's excited, curious, tuned in. But when she knows she already has you completely, no tension, no mystery, no edge, she slowly loses interest. Let's look at a relatable story. There's this guy, let's call him Tundai. Tundai met a woman he really liked. On the first date, he was cool, confident, fun. She laughed, she flirted. She was genuinely into him. But after that date, something switched. Tundai started texting her every hour, long messages, heart emojis, telling her he hadn't felt this way in a long time, telling her he was already imagining a future together, asking why she hadn't replied after 10 minutes. At first, she was flattered. Then she got quiet, and within a week, she was gone. What happened? Tunda made one mistake. He removed all uncertainty. She didn't have to wonder how he felt. She didn't have to work for his attention. She didn't have to think. He gave her every answer before she even asked the question. And without realizing it, he made himself emotionally predictable. Here's the deeper truth. Women don't fall in love with men who explain everything. They fall for men who make them feel something. That means you don't have to constantly prove your intentions. You don't have to send paragraph or long texts explaining your every thought. You don't have to answer every call instantly or always be available. You have to remain centered, composed, focused on your life. And when you do, she starts wondering why you're not chasing like the others. She starts leaning in. She asks herself, what's going on in his mind? Does he like me as much as I like him? As much as, why does he feel so different? That's when attraction deepens, not from trying harder, but from doing less and being more. Now, let's be clear. This doesn't mean ignoring her. It doesn't mean being rude, hot and cold, or emotionally absent. It means this: stay unpredictable by staying rooted in your purpose. Don't drop everything the second she calls. Don't overshare your feelings before she's shown you who she really is. Don't be so eager to lock things down before the connection has had time to build naturally. Let her feel the process. Let her experience the space. Let her desire grow. Because desire doesn't grow in pressure. It grows in curiosity. And that curiosity, that tension, comes from her not knowing exactly what you'll do next. Here's a mindset shift you need to make. You are the mountain. She is the weather. The mountain doesn't move, doesn't chase, doesn't react to every shift. It stands firm, focused, grounded, and it's that presence that draws people in. When you remain emotionally stable, when you don't give all your cards away at once, when you're willing to walk away rather than beg, that's when a woman starts seeing you differently. Not as the guy who's trying to impress her, but as the man who knows his worth and doesn't give it away too easily. So, next time you feel the urge to over-explain your feelings, pause. Next time you feel the panic when she doesn't reply right away, breathe. Next time you're tempted to pour your heart out after 2 dates, hold steady. Let her feel just enough uncertainty to stay emotionally invested without ever doubting your strength, presence, or integrity. Remember, attraction doesn't grow in comfort. It grows in tension. And a little uncertainty, the right kind, might just be the spark that makes her see you, not as just another guy, but as the one she can't stop thinking about. Attention is her drug. Don't be she can't. Stop thinking about attention, the dealer. Let's be real for a moment. Attention is one of the most powerful currencies in today's world. And when it comes to relationships and attraction, your attention as a man is far more valuable than you've been told. Every time you double text her, every time you like all her posts within seconds, every time you comment, call, compliment, and constantly remind her that you're there, you're spending that currency like it's worthless. And she feels it. She may not say it out loud, but she knows when a man is giving her more energy than she's earned. And whether she realizes it or not, the moment she senses that imbalance, something shifts. Not because she's manipulative, not because she's cruel, but because constant, unearned attention creates one thing: emotional numbness. It's like hearing your favorite song too many times. Eventually, it loses the spark. Most men are handing out their attention for free. No standards, no filter, no awareness of its value. You think by giving her more, she'll value you more. But in reality, the more freely you give it, the less weight it carries. You become background noise. And let's be honest, it's not just about her. It's about you. When you're constantly giving attention, you're shifting your focus away from your purpose, your growth, your discipline, and putting all your emotional energy into trying to get a reaction from her. That's not leadership. That's not strength. That's not masculine. That's emotional dependency dressed up as love. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Women crave attention, but they respect the men who don't throw it at them. Not in a spiteful way, not in a withholding way, but in a way that says, my time matters. I don't give energy to someone just because they look good. I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to build something real. That kind of energy hits different because it's rare, because it's valuable, because it shows you're in control of yourself. We live in a world where validation is cheap. Likes, comments, views, stories, reactions, DMS. Everyone's getting attention, but very few are getting respect. And here's the kicker. The man who's quick to give attention often gets the least in return. Why? Because he's seen as replaceable. But the man who doesn't chase, the one who's focused on his mission, the one who gives presence without being desperate, he becomes unforgettable because he's not addicted to giving attention. And she can feel that power. This doesn't mean you go cold. It doesn't mean you ignore her or act disinterested. It means you give your attention with intention. When you speak, it's meaningful. When you compliment, it's rare and it lands deeply. When you show interest, it feels earned, not automatic. And when that happens, you stop being just another guy. You become the standard. So here's the challenge. Stop being her emotional dealer. Stop giving attention just because you're afraid she'll forget you. Stop chasing connection through constant interaction. Start standing still. Start building your life. Start giving your energy to the things that actually build your value, and let her meet you there. Because the moment you stop trying to impress her is the moment she starts paying attention to you. Your purpose. Your purpose turns her on, not your texts. Let's stop sugarcoating it. Most men have lost their edge. You're too focused on saying the right thing, texting at the right time, crafting the perfect message just to keep her attention. You're living in your phone when you should be living in your mission. You're chasing women when you should be chasing progress. And you wonder why she's slipping away. It's not because you're not romantic enough. It's because you've forgotten how to be a man with purpose. Let this hit hard if it needs to. She doesn't want a man who's obsessed with her. She wants a man who's obsessed with something bigger than her. When a woman sees a man so consumed by his goals, so deeply rooted in something meaningful, she pays attention. Not because he's trying to impress her, but because he's not. There's something magnetic about a man who doesn't flinch when she pulls away. A man who doesn't panic if she doesn't reply. A man who has something so important going on that her presence becomes a bonus, not a lifeline. That's the energy women feel. That's the presence they notice. That's the mindset that makes them lean in. Not because you're trying harder, but because you're already full. The problem is this. Too many men make women their goal. Not a business, not discipline, not health, not purpose, not legacy, just her. And as soon as she senses that, the dynamic collapses. She becomes the leader, and you become the follower. And guess what? She didn't sign up to lead you. She wants to feel safe with you. She wants to feel inspired by you. And she can't do that if you're constantly adjusting your life around her mood swings and message replies. This isn't just about attraction. This is about identity. Who are you when she's not around? What are you building that doesn't revolve around her validation? If your whole sense of confidence rises and falls with how she treats you, you're not in love. You're lost. Here's what every man needs to understand. A woman doesn't want to be your escape. She wants to be part of your mission, not the mission itself. You can text her sweet things. You can show up with effort. You can make her feel valued. But none of that matters if you have no direction. Because deep down, every high-quality woman is asking herself one question. Where is he going? And can I respect the man who's leading? If you have no answer to that, no daily structure, no long-term goals, no discipline, then what exactly are you inviting her into? Attraction isn't about words, it's about energy. And there's nothing more attractive than a man who wakes up with purpose. Not just for her, but for himself, for his body, his mind, his mission, his future. So, here's your wake-up call. Stop sitting around waiting for replies. Stop checking your phone like it's your heartbeat. Stop begging for attention when you should be building something she wants to be part of. Because at the end of the day, it's not your good morning texts that turn her on. It's your grind. It's your growth. It's your self-control. It's your ability to disappear into the work when she's testing you. And when she sees that, when she realizes you're not just talking about greatness, you're living it, that's when the game changes. Validation makes you weak in her eyes. Validation makes you weak in her eyes. Here's something most men don't realize. The more you seek her validation, the less she respects you. You think telling her how beautiful she is 10 times a day will win her over. You think showing her that you're available 24/7 will make her feel secure. You think agreeing with everything she says makes you more likable, but in her mind, what it really does is expose your need for approval. And nothing kills attraction faster than a man who needs her to make him feel like a man. Validation is a silent killer. It sneaks into your words, your actions, your choices. It makes you ask, was that okay? It makes you second guess yourself when she doesn't respond how you hoped. It makes you mold your personality to fit what you think she wants. But here's the problem. If you're constantly looking to her for reassurance, you're telling her without saying it that you don't fully believe in yourself. That's not strength. That's not masculinity. That's not leadership. That's dependence, emotional dependence. And whether she admits it or not, she feels it. And when she feels it, she starts pulling away. Because women don't fall for men who chase approval. They fall for men who don't need it. You have to be the kind of man who validates himself, who knows who he is without needing constant praise, who speaks his mind and stands by it. Not for drama, but because his identity doesn't sway with the wind. When you stop looking for her to clap for you, she starts watching you differently, curiously, respectfully. Even desire begins to grow, because now she sees a man who stands on his own. So stop trying to impress her. Start being grounded in who you are. Validation feels good, but self-respect lasts longer. And if you want to be the man she can't ignore, be the man who doesn't ask for her approval. Be the man who already knows he's enough. The truth most men never hear. Most men never hear. Let's end this with a statement that might offend some people, but it needs to be said. Most women aren't attracted to love. They're attracted to power. Not political power, not physical power, but personal power. The power of a man who doesn't need her attention to feel valuable. The power of a man who isn't shaken by rejection. The power of a man who knows who he is and doesn't beg anyone to see it. That kind of man, he becomes unforgettable because he's not chasing. He's not trying. He's being. And here's the hard truth a lot of guys need to hear. If you constantly give love with no boundaries, no standards, and no purpose, you're not loving. You're leaking. You're leaking insecurity. You're leaking desperation. You're leaking the belief that being enough means being available. But you can't lead with neediness and expect to be respected. You can't overgive and then wonder why she pulls away. You can't hand over your energy and then blame her for not protecting it. It's not that women don't want love. They do, but they want it from a man who doesn't need them to feel whole. They want it from a man who chooses them after choosing himself first, not the man who gives everything away hoping she'll finally see him. And if you're that man right now, the one who's confused, hurt, or stuck. I want you to pause and ask yourself, what would my life look like if I gave half the attention I give her? Back to myself, to your goals, to your mind, to your body, to your future. That shift alone could change everything. If this hit home, I want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me where you are in your journey. Have you been giving too much? Have you lost yourself in trying to be the perfect guy? Are you done being invisible? I read every single message, and if you share something honest, something real, I will respond. Not just to answer, but to connect. Because that's what this is about. Men building themselves up together. This video wasn't made to shame you. It was made to wake you up. So now the question is, are you ready to stop chasing her and start becoming the man she can't ignore?